to me about some of the latest price action. I mean, through 19,000, approaching that record high. Does this scream to you peak sell?
No, I think we're actually in the midst of a Bitcoin shortage. Every 4 years, the supply of Bitcoin's cut in half. That happened this May, and each time it's happened in the past, the price of Bitcoin has gone up more than 1,000%, actually. And in this case, it's doing it right when corporations like Square and PayPal are offering very easy access to hundreds of millions of people. And so Square's Cash App is already buying 40% of the issued Bitcoins. PayPal just went online 4 weeks ago, and it looks like they're already buying 70% of all the newly issued Bitcoin. So the two of them combined are buying more than the entire supply. And then obviously there's all the institutional investors, all of your viewers that are, buying Bitcoin. And supply and demand has to equilibrate. And if there's less supply and there's much more demand, it's at a higher price.
Interesting. So do you think the latest rally is more demand or less supply? If you could pinpoint one as being more influential on the price, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's demand side. Obviously, supply is easy. It's exactly 50% of what it used to be. So that one's easy. On the demand side, we have statistics that estimate PayPal's demand. We have it for Square's Cash App. But there's so many new institutional investors. You featured some of the most famous global macro investors recently investing in Bitcoin. And then you bring in all of the other institutional investors that are coming in. And it's just a lot of money trying to buy a very finite number of tokens.
Does that legitimize it, those institutional investors?
I think it does. Obviously, in the early days of Bitcoin, it was kind of edgy. It was kind of hard to bring to your investment committee. But now we have great custodians. There's a lot of very good management firms in the space, and then famous global macro investors like Stan Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones investing. It makes it so much easier to bring it to an investment committee.
I am curious if you think of it as a real store of value, like a replacement for gold or something, versus a real currency. How do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a question people love to ask. And the way I think about it is it's basically the miracle whip of finance. It's a storage thing. It's a payment rail. It's a currency. It can do property titles on the blockchain. There's dozens and dozens of different use cases. And each person kind of latches onto one versus another. It's doing a great job as a digital gold. It's already taken a meaningful market share of the gold market. That's going to happen over decades. Payments, smart contracts, there's all these things that blockchain can do. But the important point is it can do so many different things. It's not just one or the other.
On that store of value, during March, for example, peak sell-off, you're selling everything. Bitcoin wasn't a store of value. Do you expect that to change where it could be, even in heightened periods of volatility?
Yeah, Bitcoin is a young thing. It's only 12 years old. So it still has quite a bit of volatility. And in the economic crisis in March, it went down, with everything else. That's happened a few times in its history. There have been 5 times when Bitcoin's been highly correlated with the S&P, but that correlation breaks down within 2 months. And that happened this time. During the crisis, everybody sold everything. They all kind of went down together. But now Bitcoin's up 150% year to date. So it's completely disconnected from oil or commodities or stocks, the other things that are still kind of trading together.
You're known for the last time you were on this program, you called it a screaming buy. I'm curious if you still feel that way. And what is a realistic price target we could see in 2021?
Yeah, people ask that all the time. And my answer is it's been going up at a compound annual growth rate of 209% for 10 years. That's my forecast. I think it will keep doing that. So that puts it at 50,000 or more next year. And although in the normal markets that would sound absolutely crazy, it's been tripling every year for 9 years on average. And so that's at least a good estimate for going forward.
I am curious about the role that central bankers play in this. If they too, like the institutional investors, legitimize it. How do you think about the role of the central banker?
Yeah, so central bank digital currencies is a very hot topic now. They do have huge advantages. Some of the advantages that cryptocurrency has over fiat money is it's almost instantaneous to send it, whereas FedWire takes 3 hours to send money in the United States, very slow. It's borderless. You can send it to anybody with a smartphone. And central banks realize those are really useful features, and they're going to replicate that in their own currencies. Some, like China, are doing it very aggressively and are probably going to go live very quickly. And other countries are, taking a more slow pace. But ultimately, every country is going to have a digital currency strategy.
I am curious, finally, as we think about if this is a Bitcoin issue or if this is a blockchain issue that encompasses Ethereum, for example, as well. The drive that's pushing this higher, specific to Bitcoin or more of a blockchain issue?
No, it's blockchain as a whole. A lot of people use the word Bitcoin as kind of a catch-all phrase for all the different brands of blockchain. Ethereum's obviously doing even better. It's up 365% year to date. So all the other blockchains are performing very well. And Bitcoin is 65% of the entire market cap, so it's kind of a good proxy for the industry. But the rest of the industry is even doing better than Bitcoin.